Hello and welcome back to DBW. I am Jen, Pip,
L.
and today we're here to talk about why it's so difficult to be a heel in today's environment. So, guys, first off, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification as well so you be notified whenever we post. Also, make sure to like and comment to let us know what you feel about the video, which you might want to see in the future. So, guys, thank you so much for watching, and let's begin. All right, fellas, why is it so hard to be a heel in the modern climate of WWE or even wrestling?
Well, I just believe that fans don't really know how to take um, heels. They rather cheer them instead of give them boos because the way that villains, just in general, in pop culture, they're seen as cool, like the anti-heroes. You can never really be a real hero. You got to be an anti-hero, a villain, to be the protagonist of a story nowadays. And I just think that the crowd doesn't really know how to react when someone is trying to be a heel. Actually, they do know how to react. They react the opposite as they should. Like LA Knight, for instance, he tried to become a heel, but he was just too over with the crowd, and they didn't allow him to be one. And it became awkward to book him, and they had to manufacture booze, and it was just and people pointed it out, and it was just really awkward. And then people realized that we can't really put him as a heel anymore. We have to just be a face slash tweener, you know?
No, I agree. I think that tweeners went from a luxury to a necessity for
Yeah,
a lot of people. I think back then being a tweener wasn't so prevalent as it is now. You either were assigned a role for face or heel
Right.
back then, and you were cheered or booed accordingly based on what the fans or what the company expected of you.
Right.
Now, do you think that it's limiting that people can only be tweeners, or that people have to be tweeners to be considered a face? Like you have to have some sort of edge to you in some way. That's why someone like Cody Rhodes is so unique because he has no edge to him, but he's extremely over with the audience. That's not a common occurrence.
mm, yeah, but I think when it comes to someone like Cody, Cody has like a rebellious factor in him, which in sense is kind of a underdog slash like anti-hero kind of persona or perspective that you really can have in a story.
Right.
Like I'm against the system, I'm defying the odds to get where I want, and I'm gonna make sure I fulfill this promise to everyone. I have to finish my story. That's been his whole thing since he's got here, and since he had the title, he's been just defending it as often as he could. But not everyone's Cody, so can't really use him as like the pinnacle example. It's like I feel as though with how more naturally every superstar is to just either be themselves or be an exaggerated character. I feel as though people want to get to know the person personally
Mm-hmm.
and determine if they hate him or not from that. Like El was saying about LA Knight, like they wanted him to be a heel so bad, really bad, but it just didn't work. Even with but people got to see just how much, like as an example, like Dominic Mysterio, everyone got to see just how terrible he was to his dad. Someone with high accolades and respect in the company, Rey Mysterio, and he's been booed as a tradition,
Yeah.
as a as just a wrestling crowd reaction. Like Duke can't even talk without getting overshun with boos. And then
Right.
there's also Logan Paul. Like I'm not gonna bring up the stuff about him outside of the WWE because that there's plenty of people who talk about him already.
Yeah.
But
But I think that's prevalent, though. I think Logan Paul, the stuff that's outside of the ring, is really prevalent on why he get booed genuinely. People genuinely dislike Logan Paul because they think he's a bad person. And
mhm.
so it seeps into his ring ability and his ring persona, and he just leans forward into it, and then people just hate him more so because of it. So I think it does matter. Like if he didn't have the hate, maybe it would be hard for people to boo him.
Mm, yeah, because then again, a lot of people wouldn't really know him. But you know, that is a good point because I think people also are kind of like tweening with Mello as well. Carmelo Hayes.
No, he's more. He gets booed. I guess,
Especially going against guys like LA Knight
Yeah.
and you know El Idolo.
Yeah. So I don't think he's a tweener really. I think people are more so upset about his position more than. I'm not speaking for ourselves. I'm just speaking in general. Of course, people more so with his position, and they give him sympathy through that, rather than support him as a character or are behind him as a heel.
Okay.
I think you have to kind of just figure out where people's minds actually are, because on one hand, now everyone online goes to the shows,
Right.
but on the other hand, a lot of people who are online do go to shows,
Right.
and they can influence and dictate a crowd's reactions like anyone else can.
Yeah.
So you have to consider is one, if Carmelo Hayes is a heel,
Right.
why is he being booed? Is it due to presentation? Is it due to character work? Or is it due to the online cultural zeitgeist around his name? And people probably won't boo him as much for that. It's really no telling.
Yeah. And especially in some cases, if the person you're up against is hated more than you, and you were like a dislikable person, they'll cheer you. Like, remember when Miz went up against Gunther? Like, they cheered Miz.
Yeah.
And Miz is known to not be
at the time though. The Miz was a face.
Yeah, of course. But I feel like people still know that the Miz still is a not very respectable individual.
Yeah.
But he still got the cheers regardless.
It's easier to transition from heel to face than face to heel. It's much easier.
Not even just that. When you have the cachet that the Miz have within the company, you can pretty much do whatever you want. People, they boo Miz just because he's the Miz and he tells them to boo him.
Yeah.
But if he tells them to cheer him, they will cheer him.
Yeah.
The Miz is a veteran. I feel like you can't really use Miz as an example because not many people can measure up to what he can do.
Okay. How do you guys feel about how they're trying to like book Seth?
Seth is not a heel.
No. Even though you could say he's been doing kind of some healer stuff recently.
No, he just does dislike CM Punk.
Yeah, and then he stomped out Roman Reigns as well.
He dislikes Roman as well.
Yeah.
Because you also have to remember, face and heels are categories that exist to dictate how an audience should perceive someone. However, it does not infiltrate or dictate how that individual feels on the product.
Right.
Of course. Attacking someone does not make you a heel. Just as like helping someone does not make you a face.
Right. There's ulterior motives in both.
Of course. There's always a method to the madness, so to speak.
Correct.
It's how you're presented on the product that really shows the audience how they should feel about it. Like, I think that once you start to push people like CM Punk and Seth Rollins, they're two big baby faces. The audience loves them both.
Mm-hmm.
But the feud is personal, so it doesn't matter who's a heel. It doesn't matter who's the face. They hate each other. That's what matters.
And the people are going to cheer or boo regardless.
Yeah. I feel as though nowadays that if you already were a face, to be a heel, you got to do something like downright deplorable for your character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would say like
Io Sky is a heel.
No.
Okay, she was booed.
She was booed.
On Raw yesterday, like her and Rhea having a back and forth, and they were punching each other in the face. People were booing Io.
Mm-hmm.
That's because they love
Rhea more.
Yeah.
They were both baby faces.
Yeah.
The audience loves Rhea more.
Yeah.
So Io was booed. That's like being cheered on makes you a face.
Right.
But there's an art to it. There's a skill that goes into heel work. How you carry yourself, how you present yourself, how you look at the camera, the clothes you wear, the way you say the words that you say.
Right.
Yeah.
There are those things that make you a heel, not just what the audience perceives as a heel or a boo. And I think maybe the audience is retaliating because they feel like. And so, like LA Knight, he's a heel. He looks like a heel. Sunglasses, skinny jeans, sleeveless vests, catchphrases, and all that, right?
Yeah.
He's a heel. He calls people dummies and all that, But people like that presentation to the point where they aren't going to boo it because the audience can get behind it so easily. Because his look is so unorthodox, he had to be a face because they refused to boo him. You had to make him do some really, really low down, grimy things for him to be booed. And the thing is, not every heel needs to be a low down, grimy person. That they should have gotten in the first place.
Right.
It's not easy to keep writing someone despicably. You can't just keep making Dominic Mysterio every time you want to turn someone heel, because then everyone's Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, that'd be boring.
And no one's an individual character. Because it seems most heels are either getting indifference or cheers. And it's hard to craft the art of heel work like it was back.
Yeah, back in the day, it was a lot easier for people to just say like, "Ooh, this guy's a jerk. I'm gonna boo him." Or like, "Ooh, that's the good guy. I'm gonna cheer him."
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we kind of just lost that nowadays, and it's just really hard to get people to boo someone who's actively going out of their way to be a booable person.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you think they're not doing a good job.
Yeah, especially when it comes to even someone who does try and to give them indifference, like Zoe Stark, for example.
Yeah.
She is a heel, but there's nothing that the crowd wants to like get behind on that character work. So she gets nothing.
Yeah.
And that would make you think that she's not good at anything they're on.
But that's not the thing. It doesn't really matter what you can and can't do. It matters. The only thing that matters in this business is how the crowd reacts to you. They dictate if you become a star or not. Without the crowd, you won't get any cheers, any boos. You'll just get silence.
And that's the scariest part.
Yeah. The live audience performing for, they are your feedback. If they're not giving you the feedback, then you're not growing. So it's not always about presentation either. Sometimes it's just about self-confidence. Do I believe what you're selling me? And if I do believe what you're selling me, you'll get the reaction you're looking for. Everything is so close knit. We follow these people on Instagram. We know who these people are engaged to.
Right.
We know who these people, hang out with. We've seen their workout videos. We've seen their vlogs. We follow them on Twitter. We see what they post.
Everything's just a lot more personal.
Like back then, if Undertaker chokeslam, you had no idea why he did what he did. So that's what his character was. He was an enigma. The mystique around him is what made him interesting. Mm-hmm. Now, there isn't that. He's on Maven's show. He's talking about wrestling secrets. He's talking about his history. He's going through everything. He's having tours. He's in the Hall of Fame. That mystique with the Undertaker is now gone. And technology pushing forward. People generally used to believe he was a dead guy.
Yeah.
Because as far as they were concerned, he probably was. Every time I saw him, he was coming out in robes and smoke and coming out of caskets.
Plus the eyes thing.
Yeah, he rolled his eyes back of his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the monsters aren't real, but I didn't when I was 7.
Right.
I mean, that's how well he has to sell you on that character, whether it's face or heel.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think character work is the most important thing that goes into heel work. Because if you don't have a good presentation, and if I'm not behind what you're saying, it's going to be hard for me to suspend my disbelief to get behind you. That's why they're doing away with face and heels. Like The Rock said at the press conference, or heel.
No.
He says it's limiting. One moment he could be The Rock, and he's doing single all the next. He's telling people to shut up. He's gonna slap herpes off of him. The whole thing.
Yeah. Then they boo.
Yeah. So like, he's getting reactions out of people based on the moment he wants to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the art of heels to survive, it has to evolve in the same way. People are complicated. People have layers.
True.
You can't be a jerk all the time. You can't be nice all the time. The reason people want Cody Rhodes to turn so bad is just so they can then say he turned.
Right.
Not for any particular reason other than to say that he turned. That's it. It's not that they think his character to be better as a heel. It's not that they have any particular plans for him as a heel. It's just that he has not turned heel, and they want him to. And so he'll always be pushed throughout his entire career as a babyface to turn heel. The same happened with John Cena. He was a face for 21 years.
2 decades.
So when you think about it, I think that yes, it can be limiting to assign yourself to these roles. But I think what the art of what makes wrestling interesting is that people do have these roles and that you have to learn how to mold an audience around these roles.
Mm-hmm.
I will have to disagree with you as far as like you were saying that people they will want people to be heel for the sake of being heel. I would disagree. At least for me personally, I would like to see more depth in your character. Like Cena, he's now a heel. We're now seeing more depth inside of what Cena actually thinks besides all hustle, loyalty, respect. Like he sees the anxiety, he sees the will and the want to be the best. He wants the 17 so bad that he's willing to be so desperate into selling his soul. Like that's different. That's a different story being told. Like you can maybe see that is probably genuine. Like he wants to be the best. He wants to be known as the greatest wrestler of all time, numbers wise.
Right.
And maybe your anxieties and your fears of you not becoming that really overshadows your judgment. So I would disagree as far as that. But
Further expand on what you were saying.
Yeah.
It puts people in a position where you understand how much people actually are people.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you can't just say John Cena is a character.
Right. No. John Cena is John Cena.
Like John Cena always believed in the hustle, loyalty, and respect dog.
Right.
But then he abandoned it.
Right.
For that last championship. Because now you're thinking, was CM Punk always right? Were you a liar? Were you a person that just said what they had to say to suck up to the boss just to get more titles?
Right.
And since you were you didn't have to work hard and scratch and claw for what you wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
You got handed championships because you were John Cena. And now that your former boss is no longer here, you don't think that's going to happen on your way out the door. So
right.
you do whatever you can to sell your soul to the next person who can give you an opportunity.
Right. Or it could be looked from a different angle. Maybe CM Punk was just jealous that he wasn't getting the titles.
Yes.
He wasn't in the position that John was in. And maybe it seemed from the outside looking in that the favor of the company was in Cena's hands because he was the one that got all the crowd involved and hype because he was the number one guy in the company. So you naturally want to give your number one guy a lot of the favor because he's the one that's putting butts into seats. So people come to see Cena. Mm-hmm. So you should give them what they want.
Yeah, he's the important one.
CM Punk is saying, at least from what I got from the Raw promo, that he never put stock into glory. He wanted these things, and he would do whatever he could to get those things. Right. But he was always honest about it.
Yeah, right. CM Punk was always a person who put the fact that he did hard work as the reason for why he deserved things.
Yes. John Cena, he believes, is a dynasty. His name is why he gets what he deserves.
He's a Boston Red Sox.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, he's got the Yankees. He's the
Yankees. Yeah.
Like, that's why Punk is feeling like I was always right about you.
Mm-hmm.
I always knew you were a snake, you were a rat, and then as soon as you had the opportunity to allow someone to give you something that you knew you couldn't fight for and earn, you took it, and then pretended like you fought for it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He's like, you benefit of the doubt when you didn't have to get to the chamber. You didn't have to fight like we did get to the chamber.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's just because you knew that you didn't have to. And now Cena's trying to cap off his legacy by beating Ric Flair's championship by any means necessary.
Mm-hmm. Any means necessary to be the greatest that there ever was to do
it. Yeah. Even if it was handed to you.
Yeah.
The history books will remember that you were the greatest.
Yeah. The acolyte.
People will forget about the details. They will just look at the numbers.
Yeah. The numbers are way more important than how the numbers were obtained.
I think with the final boss and John Cena, we will see a revival of the heel characters, where you can cheer someone lovingly for 21 years, just like that. Hate them again.
Right.
Yeah, but then again, John Cena is still like a very big exception to the rule because he will be the face of wrestling. Like, people know him without even knowing that he does wrestling or that he was in wrestling. Like, that's how much of a connection he has to the company.
Hear me out. They are now setting the standard
Mm-hmm.
for heel work. This is an opportunity for superstars and performers alike to take notes. To see, hey, why am I not getting over as a heel? What could I do to get over as a heel? You can see in John Cena's expressions, how how he lost his smile, how angry he was.
Mm-hmm.
You can see in how he moved, how he waited for approval. You can look at all these small details that went into his heel turn to see what can I do to match that image.
Right.
Because wrestling is always about studying knowledge. It's always about taking notes, looking at what the other people are doing to get there.
Right.
I think this is a good opportunity to do so. So I think, yes, the being a heel is a lost art, but I hope due to this we can retrieve it again and go back to loving to hate people. Because now it's just you love to hate people so much that you forget that you're supposed to hate them.
Yeah. At that point, you just love them.
Yeah, and that's what it always comes. That's why they cheer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's my thoughts on that, guys. So, without further ado, I want to say thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Still remember to subscribe, like, and comment on this video. Also, make sure to follow the Twitch, TikTok, and Twitter. They shall be linked in the description below. This has been DBW, guys. We are so happy to have you here. Please let us know what you think about heel work and the art that it takes to be a professional wrestler as a whole. And thank you guys so much for coming. This has been Jen. This has been DBW.
Woo! Woo! Later.